Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, I'm Cindy, the procrastinator. And seriously, I'd like to say that that wasn't my fault in the fiasco that it was, but I am here. And it is in that preparedness for these small hiccups. Sometimes it's in, I don't know. It's just in the system. Sometimes, and more often than not, it's just in me. Had a little panic mode, right? Had to restart my live again. Then I came in. Then I remembered, right? We had a problem in the messaging. So if there's anybody out there who's maybe not a moderator, can you pop in, say hi? I know Melvin tried to get into our live show last Sunday and wasn't able to do it. My sister Alice too. She wanted to be in the live and she couldn't chit chat. So I just want to make sure, if you guys are there and you don't normally pop in, if you say hi, right? It would be amazing. You'd get swept up in these amazing moderators that I have here. Hello, Owen. Hello, Andrew. I was going to start editing a video today. I had today off. I never ever get Sundays off. Weekends are usually my shifts. And yeah, it was very nice. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for 4 days, but I do have a mental list of things that I'd like to get accomplished in those few days that I have off. And one of them is getting a new segment of my new series, right? It's Lake Superior. I do a little bit of a tour, a circle tour of Ontario every year, and I like to share those adventures because right, you guys hang out with me and you see how I get excited when it gets close to going on the trip, and in the moment I'm reliving the experience in the editing of the videos. But at the same time, I've got other things going on at the same time. You guys, I've been working on my cards, looking at different sizes, what would be comfortable. Now, it's not tarot cards, they're just powerful words that I put together. And you guys know I was working on it all year last year. And I finally came up with the size, and I'm in the process of cutting a whole bunch of them so I can start doing a homemade set. I know what the design in my mind looks like. I don't know who the artist of the cards are going to be, but I have the design of what I want on them. They're very unique size, I think. I got them because as we get older, our fingers and our bones, they don't quite feel as agile as they used to. And I thought I really wanted something comfortable, but not something so small that it was a postage stamp or a business card, but something that still had a little bit. And this is what I came up with, you guys. It's 5 centimeters by 10 centimeters for my cards. They're very comfortable. They're very comfortable because, right, all I'm doing is writing one word on the front of the cards, and then, right, the quote or the thought or the experience that I was, right, having as I was being inspired to I don't know, my own perspective on what the word meant for me, understanding that in the moment that I was inspiring, right? The meaning, because a lot of those words I was inspired while I was on my trip, right? And in those moments, that was the perspective that I had on the word. There are lots, depending on who's looking at the card or reading the card, depending on their experience with that word in their own life, right? They're going to have a different perspective, and that's okay. That's the whole point, right? But I wanted to get a deck together because I need to ground in this. I ground in the job that puts the roof over my head. I ground in Mother Nature, making sure that I'm getting that dose and that connection, which makes me smile, makes it worthwhile, that shows me in the evidence in how much more often I'm able to get out there and have those experiences. Like I said, I'm really, right, reliving, re experiencing that trip as I'm editing that video. And so yeah, the lessons just keep going. I'm taking this one out because I can feel in my hand it's not quite right. But it is a project. So, as I'm taking in lessons and stuff, that I sit here with my little cutting board and my straight knife, and it has the measurements in my cutting there. If I had a cutter, I had a couple of cutters, but I got rid of them because I never used them. But now I have a project that would have made this like 15 minutes, and now it's right going to take a couple of days uh, in between other things that I am doing and what I'm involved in. Right, I got my booster shot and a flu shot for this year's. Um, in the past few months, I literally know 5 people who have had or have pneumonia. I get pneumonia is not contagious, but that's a bit of a coincidence to know that many people who have pneumonia, don't you think? And it just brought to mind that I do stretch myself thin sometimes. Maybe I don't, but in my own sense of what I'm able to take on, I feel like sometimes that I stretch a little bit. And in stretching a little bit, I want to make sure that I stay healthy, right? That I'm not wanting to compulse on it, but just to take note in how I can better take care of myself, understanding that I'm not 20 anymore. And I've used that phrase a few times in the past couple of months, right? I have to remember that I am not 20 anymore. And if I can remember that, I can do things to make sure that, right, that I'll be able to go off and do those trips every September, be able to go hike trails and walk beaches and get myself stuck in situations and have to be able to physically, emotionally, and mentally overcome those challenges by myself, possibly, right? So taking care of myself in all aspects of myself. Hi, you guys. Hello, William. How's everybody's week's been going? I made myself a cup of coffee. That was the first couple minutes in my procrastination. It was a revelation in that understanding that I was procrastinating tonight. And so I was a little bit challenged in something that I feel compelled to do, and that and I but I just didn't know how to come at it, how my own life is comparable in that. And then I just, right, getting ready for my live show and seeing that I procrastinate how much. And it's been an ongoing thing. I say 7:30 Central when I come in live all the time. Oh, or when I end my lives, I always says, "Oh, see you next week." And I used to say, right, because you haven't heard me say it in a long time, 7:30 Central. It's because it's in that procrastination that I just know I'm going to be a few minutes late, right? And then I allow myself those few minutes because that's the pushback with me. I have every intent of showing up, and I do show up. But I just sometimes, right? And it's not nervousness. It's that unsuredness. And that's something to contemplate in my procrastination because it's my unsuredness. And that's where the belief lies. Oh my goodness. I just gotta, oh, oh, right. And that is what it is, right? If I believed more, I wouldn't procrastinate. Right? And that's something to do a little bit of contemplation on this evening. 100% interesting how things work out. Inner joke right now. I don't know, inner joke, inner insight in this moment, but I might share with you somewheres down the road. But how has everybody been going, you guys? How has your pneumonia, Andrew? Right? How are you feeling? Right? One of my 5 people that I know, my sister Tracy also being one of them. I work with one of the ladies at work, and she's been away now for almost a couple of months with pneumonia. She really ran herself down. That's, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate and that's running yourself down in a cold, right? Like I was talking about overextending yourself and paying a little bit of attention. Maybe that's just to bring to my own awareness that, again, I'm not 20 anymore. Oh, that's good to hear, Andrew. That's good to hear. And we're going into winter now, so you will be forced to take a little bit slower pace, right? In your life. I mean, you still have to go to work and whatever and be active in that way. But because we have to pay attention to our well-being when it's wintertime, that right? It might be a little bit slower pace and you won't be spending so much time outside doing that physical that can wear you down. It's just the mental, so much of our illnesses is caused by the stress that we're under, right? I truly believe that. I'm grateful that I don't highly focus on my health. I focus on my weight 100%, but that's in my upbringing, and I'm not the only one. All my sisters, right? We all are very hyper vigilant about our weight, but in our health, right? Well, I see it in my sister's lives, even what you think about is realized. And, even though I recognize I'm not 20 anymore, I am grateful for my good health. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my good health. And like I said, I got the flu shot and a booster. I didn't know they were still doing the booster shots for the COVID. And so I made sure that I got up to date on my vaccinations, and right, we'll see how it goes. Last year I took all my boosters and my flu shot and I didn't get sick. I didn't get sick all winter, so that's really good. But I don't want to be so hyped up on the antibiotics and stuff, the stuff that makes it so that we're not around germs. And when we're not around those germs and bacteria and stuff, it makes it so that we're not as resilient when those big germs and bacteria hit us, right? So, yeah, I like to be, well, I don't like to be around germs, but I don't focus on being extra sanitized all the time, right? Like I'm not hyper focused on the cleanliness. In the morning, I wake up and I make my bed, right? It's important for me to make my bed. It was one of the very first things I learned in building routines for myself. And I understand now for the rest of my life, I will be that person that when you crawl out of bed, you make it. But I'm not tucking in corners. I'm not a hospital bed maker. I'm not a hotel attendant bed maker, right? I have my bottom sheet that that stays on the bed until laundry day, and I just have a great big fluffy IKEA quilt that I absolutely love, but it's on its last days. Unless I can get that quilt into a duvet cover, it's on its last days, and those duvets are so expensive. Very lucky, very grateful that I was able to pick that up at my work for, I think, $20 or something. They're hundreds of dollars, these quilts. Oh, well, right? Manifest it and it will show up 100%. I was saying I needed a new, what is it? It's kind of neat how it showed up. I said I needed a new USB stick and I went to work, and that very same day one showed up. These things are expensive. These things can be $25, $30, these USB sticks, and I got this for $1, right? Sometimes that's how it works with me. I'm super happy for that. My fan broke beside my bed, and I bought another fan, but it's very industrial. So it makes a lot of industrial noise. And I like the sound of the fan because it drowns out the murderers and the rapers, because I am hyper vigilant in my sleep. If I hear a pin drop, I'll probably wake up and check it out. But when I have the fan over my head, I get that flow of air, which is very nothing worse than stagnant air where there is no flow at all. I love a breeze all the time, whether it's the heater, right, on a cold day, or it's the air conditioner blowing down on me, or beautifully the fan. I love the fan, but I love the fan because of that whir, not the industrial grind of the machinery, right? Doesn't really super bother me. But I said I need a new fan, and I went to work. Not only was the fan there, the fan was priced wrong, in my opinion, right? But I like a good score, right? And I'm entitled to that good score if I walk into work and it's sitting there. So I grabbed it and I put it in the back room, put my name on it, and I got a beautiful, beautiful. Well, I found it when I came home from my days off. So it was probably there for 24 hours. Nobody's looking for fans right now. We're going into winter. It was a very nice fan, though. But it was one of those great big upright fans, and beautiful, up to date, and clean, like brand new. So it wasn't very old at all. And with my staff discount, I'm going to get it for $10. This is what I'm thinking. Even the really poopy ones like that are like $50 at Walmart. And mine was much nice. It was a Noma. That's what it was. And Noma is a very, very good brand. Very good brand. So this one was probably over $100 or almost $100. And I got it for $10. I like a good score. Every once in a while, I get a good score, right? Remember? I show you guys all the time. Gonna right there. It's not really, you can't really see it very close, but that is a bisque Napoleon sitting in his chair with his sword between his legs and his maps laid out on the floor beneath him. It's made by the Mason Company, not just Mason, but Mason bought this company out. So this was the company before Mason. I have an antique book that I actually had to research. My sister was so proud of me. I had to research through the book and find the maker's mark, and then I took it to her just to confirm that I found the maker's mark. And yeah, so it was a very rare piece. If it was in good shape, it'd be worth like $6,000, right? But even in the shape that it was worth, 3,000. But then again, it's what the buyer would pay for it, right? It's the buyer for pay for it, right? My sister saw my Napoleon. She snatched it from me. I says, "Oh, can I have that back?" When I asked for it back, she had already had it listed. Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm glad I have it. He's gonna stay with me to the end. I think it's important for us to consider when we collect art to collect even the flawed stuff now, because even the flawed stuff, it's being looked over and people are just throwing it in the trash and not taking care of it because it's got a chip on it, right? But there's going to come a point when those chips aren't going to make any difference at all, right? Like those Aztec vases and the Egyptian statues and the Amazon forest pottery, right? You get a chip on one of those, uh, not really going to make a difference, is it? It's going to be looked at as patina. That's what they call antiques when you see the old finish, like on brass when it turns all green, right? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I love. It's one thing that me and my sister Alice have in common is our love for antiques and collectibles. It's part of my love for history, right? I love everything about history. All my hobbies even is history based. Even my crystal diggings. My crystals are the oldest of histories that I have. Ooh, look at this, guys. I got a new one. I haven't checked them out. I don't know if they're worth anything, but I've never seen one before, but it came into the store and I said, that's got to be mine. It was like $1.50 or $2 or something. It's just a little glass glass stick. It's called a chuck chuck chakwa. Chakra, chakra wand. That's what it's called. Like the chakras, right? The Buddha spiritual thing, right? They have all the different chakras that go up to the top. And I guess each one of those stripes is a different crystal or chakra stone, right? And I could research them. That would be interesting to research all those. It looks like there's jasper up there, and I don't know what any of the other ones, but I could see the quartz crystal or the Herkimer diamond, which is what's in between all of that. Okay, let me put that over there. But yeah, I really love the fan. It makes it so that I can have a nice, good, deep sleep when it's time for bed. Sometimes bed's 11 o'clock, which it has been lately. I found that I've needed to go to bed much sooner. Sometimes I stay up till 12. Usually 1 o'clock in the morning is about the very latest that I stay up till, and then I sleep until it's time to get up, whether that time is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Today I slept till 9 o'clock. It was after 9 o'clock when I woke up, and I felt very refreshed, and I could tell I needed that little bit extra rest. I thought I was going to get up and start editing video, but I couldn't get into it. I said, you know what? I never get Sundays off. I'm going to take Sunday as a day off, right? Just, I'm not even going to do laundry. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to bake bread. So I baked onion buns for my brother-in-law, Tom, and then I baked cinnamon buns. But when I mentioned cinnamon buns to them, because they asked me if I needed anything at the grocery store, because they need to go to the grocery store, and I says, "Oh, can you pick me up some margarine?" And and then it just I says, "Oh." I need it for my cinnamon buns, but I needed it for after my cinnamon buns were baked, right? I had enough for making the icing and everything I needed at the time. And as soon as I mentioned cinnamon buns, I had to say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll send you home with some cinnamon buns. And it was really nice because my brother-in-law sent me a message to say how amazing my cinnamon buns are, and I should be teaching the people at my sister's work how to make cinnamon buns. Okay. Oh, so do you think, Andrew, it has, well, you do overexert yourself, otherwise you wouldn't have ended up with pneumonia. I burn myself out um physically. And when I burn myself up physically, then it kind of makes me not to pay attention to what's in front of me. And soon as I'm not paying attention to what's in front of me, that's my signal, especially if I'm looking out my window and I see it's all dark out and everything. That just says to me it's time for bed. That's how come sometimes when I do my other show, What's My Good Cheer, that sometimes I come in late, and it's only because I've just kind of, right, I dozed off in my chair here, and I've dozed off, and all of a sudden I'm awake and I look at it's because I'm waiting to do my live, right? That procrastination. I can do my live whenever I want, but no, I'll go, oh, I'll do it at 10. And then 10 o'clock rolls around and I go, okay, 10:30. Oh, 11 o'clock. Then my friends in the Middle East will be up and they'll be starting their day. Another half an hour, another 15 minutes. And what happens is I sit here, and then the next thing you know, I'm dozing off. And then it's kind of like, right? Maybe something comes on the channel. Maybe my cat rubs up against my leg. I don't know what it is, but I'll just kind of jolt up a week, and I look at the clock and I go, Cindy, go to bed. And I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't done my live. And my lives always have a cup of coffee. I really do enjoy having a cup of coffee when I come in and do my lives, because sometimes in that flow of conversation, number one, you kind of get that dry mouth, right? Number two, it's like sitting across the table with your friend having a cup of tea, right? And right, you're sitting there watching me and hanging out with me, and I'm sure you've got some kind of thing that you're drinking right now, right? Whether it's a cocktail or a beer or a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a soda pop. I like that. Soda pop. I was watching a video, and it was a lady from down south, and she was being asked by a friend or something to describe or say the words that represented something. So when she was asked about Coca-Cola, right? She called it sody pop. And oh, that's so adorable, right? Like you read that in some books, they use it literally in their writing. They call it depending on the era that you're writing the novel, but that's not a word that you have that you hear all the time. And because I'm kind of ageless, I'm not saying ageless, like I'm not gloating like I'm ageless or anything, right? I am 63 years old, right? Sometimes I think that I'm 20, but it's in that not recognizing your age. And I don't recognize my age because I don't have kids that reflect and remind me how old I am. I don't have a partner that, in looking at him and mirroring, right, the age comparison to signify how old I am. I'm not a grandmother, and just not having somebody go, grandma, grandma, right? I don't. If somebody called me grandma, that would be like, I'm kind of, sometimes in Africa and Nigeria, some of the people that I know, they call me auntie, and I always say, don't call me auntie, because it makes me feel uncomfortable because it kind of reminds me of my age. And it's like sometimes, and especially in hospitality, when I worked in restaurants and bars, lots of times we'd have the American guys, like truck drivers and politicians and salesmen and stuff, entrepreneurs. They would come in and stay in the hotels and hang out in the bars and stuff. Or even the military men, and they would come in and, right, I married military. My husband never called me mad. I'll go poop right in the forehead if he called me mad. Right? But yeah, that ma'am. And lots of people, it's just a signal, what do you call it? It's just a signal. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's just, it's just to say a sign. It's a sign of respect. That's what it is. Saying ma'am, right? Saying, thank you, ma'am, or please, ma'am, or right. It's just a sign of respect. But for me, right, it reminds me of my age, because when we say ma'am here in Canada, we're referencing somebody's maturity. We're still giving respect, right, by saying ma'am, but it's kind of like in a wise owl, old soul, uh, wise one, tribe leader, right? In that kind of way, that's what we're looking at in that word. But yeah, when the Americans say ma'am, like because you get the slang too, right? The accent, and you know right away, right? And it hits me as being old, right? But other than that, I don't feel it, and I'm grateful that I'm able to mix with all different ages, and right, and I'm constantly reminded of that ability because I work in a job that has me interacting with all different people of all different ages, right? And I like the youthful clothing. I like the bohemian. It's not hippie style, but bohemian is boho chic, they call it, right? And I love the big sleeves and the floppy tops and the big hats, and right. I do like that style, the carefree style. It's our styles tell everybody who we are, isn't it? And it's true, if they're not telling us who they are, they're telling us who they'd like to be, right? If somebody dresses up like Elvis, they love Elvis, definitely. They're not dressing up because they hate Elvis, right? They're not dancing and singing like Elvis just because they have to. That's the only thing they learned growing up. No, they love Elvis. They're mirroring what they love, right? Yeah. Coca-Cola originally had cocaine in it. People wouldn't say they were getting a Coke. They would say they were getting a dope because the drink really had dope in it. So when Coca-Cola started and they knew that there was cocaine in it, I wonder, because they called it dope back then, if adults only drank Coca-Cola, that the children didn't drink Coca-Cola. I wonder that. I wonder if Coca-Cola was actually an adult drink. I guess not, because you see a lot of the high school students, right, in the 40s and 50s with the Coca-Colas in their hands and stuff. And so if the teenagers could drink Coca-Cola, I'm assuming the little kids could drink Coca-Cola. I know in the 70s, we had to take notes to the grocery store in order to get a package of cigarettes for dad, right? We weren't allowed to buy cigarettes ourselves, but we used to write our own notes to get cigarettes. But he used to send us down to get a case of pop, and they were in the cardboard case and the glass bottles. And I would always have the Coca-Cola, because in the Coca-Cola, they weren't the liter bottles, but they were the tall single bottles, and I would be able to get one of those. And then everybody had their favorite bottle of pop. And dad was amazing at that. in making sure that there were always treats coming in to the family. And even though those things were not good and that possibly they had cocaine in them and stuff, my dad's heart was in the good place. And, we didn't know it. That's a perfect example of what we don't know doesn't hurt us, because it actually benefited us, because those were loving actions of my father. They were kind considerances, and those were considered treats. So treats always put smile and happiness in our faces, even though there was also, right, arguments. That one's mine. No, I want one. Right? My mom and dad had 4 girls, and we were all fairly close. My youngest sister is 6 years younger than I am. So it was me and my sister were pretty much friends. I didn't have real friends. My sister, once she started getting into the boyfriends and stuff, she kind of dropped me like a hot potato too. But I think for the most part, me and my sister Tracy were friends, and my sister Alice was the third child in, and right, she didn't get as much attention as everybody did, but she didn't have a lot of expectations in her life, and she was able to escape and be her own independent person, right? Yeah, I admire my sister Alice. She's definitely her own boss. She's a big procrastinator. My sister Tracy is not a procrastinator, right? But my sister Tracy is the narcissist in the family. She's the matriarch in the family. And she dictates, and usually everything is really good when my sister had her hands in the realms. But the thing is, right, she's had a pretty rough half a dozen years, right? As long as I've been on this journey, my sister has been on her own journey, and it has been from for her. So hopefully at the end of this month, things are getting finalized. I'm going to give her a hand next week in cleaning her house out that she sold her house, so she is finally free and clear of her husband. And that was a big one for her, right? One of my sister's biggest fears is, right, she doesn't like to be alone, and she has been alone quite a bit through this entire half a dozen years or so, right? Because I'm in my own lesson, so I wasn't able to be in there like I normally would be, right? That's what highly sensitives and empaths do. So I was building up my own boundaries and moving off in my own direction and building my own life, setting my own goals, but understanding my sister was having a struggle too. We both did the very best that we could. We came out of it. Like I said, she's got less than a month, and she's going to be laughing, and she's going to create the best life that she possibly can for herself. And I truly believe those smiles, right? They're going to come back. And when those smiles come back, you watch, right? Life is going to get so much better for her. 100%. Okay. Yeah, but super interesting, Andrew. I've heard about the cocaine in the Coca-Cola, but also how they were able to transition. Oh, but you also know about the Pepsi battle then, right? Andrew, Coca-Cola and Pepsi going to battle with each other, right? And Pepsi held their own, and Coca-Cola was the one who had all the power. And just because Pepsi refused to give up, they were able to persevere. And look at them now. When the sody pop gets a bad rap, you don't hear too much about the Pepsi, do you? You always hear about the Coca-Cola because of the name, I guess, Coca-Cane, right? Oh, really? I know one person who is medically he lives in Belgium, and he gets injections of morphine and heroin. He's got some of those same kind of arthritic issues that my mother had, that really stop you from making movement. When I say stop you from making movement, it stops you from making any kind of movement, right? Because when you're concentrating on the pain that you're in, you can't drum up the happy, right? You can have that considerate persona where you don't rub your troubles on other people, right? When people ask you how you are, you say, "Oh, fine, maybe a little bit better than yesterday," or "I'm hopeful about this getting better," or right? You got a smile on your face, and that's really, really amazing. That has been in the lessons for me in the past couple of months, that sometimes when we hide our issues and keep those issues away from the people that we care about, that it is a great service to them because they have their own struggles. And if there isn't something that they can do to help you, right? We shouldn't drag them in to sit with us in those miserable moments that we all have to go through, right? That's what we do here, William. We talk. Yeah, William. Are you allowed to tape your sermons when you're up on the podium? William, are you able to make, maybe that's what you should be posting to your YouTube channel. Wouldn't that be amazing if your sermons could go out there and you're able to draw in people that get what you're trying to put out to the world? That would be a good service. I don't know if your church approves of that, but I can't see why not if it's something positive, because I know you're not spewing, right? You're not spewing anything that isn't positive. I'm just going to come down, but that's a good idea. That's a good idea, William. Mm. Make a good cup of coffee. But I'm really pleased. So I'm one of the things that I said that I was going to get done on this set of days off was to get those cards all cut up, right? My 54 powerful words. I'm going to make a working deck for myself so that I can ground in what I do, stay within those 54 words when it comes to those topics. And then I would be able to be a little bit more consistent, because it's only in that habit, it's only in the showing up consistently that we get better, right? And when I don't show up consistently, well, some of those, right, that procrastination features that I have, right, that they become noticeable. It's a good lesson that they become noticeable, because it gives me an opportunity to say why, and then how am I noticing them? And for me, usually it's the guilt and shame. It's usually, right, that I feel bad for not showing up. I feel bad for being late. I feel bad for sitting in my chair and taking in lessons all day. I feel bad for being totally exhausted and not being able to get my house chores done. I feel bad because I can't get out there and spend more time in Mother Nature or go on more of those amazing trips that I just came off of. I feel bad that I can't be an expert in editing video and be excited about editing video, right? And that's a constant, constant, constant. So that's what I am always procrastinating in, right? Food for thought. I had some questions in that. And yeah, I think just in the past couple hours, I think I got some answers. True resolution, I have no idea. I still have to give it some thoughts, but I think it's a good direction for me to be going in this moment. Okay. Oh, good, William. Wouldn't that be amazing? Right? To be able to have a library of your work and of the progression, because every time you speak, right, William, that you will become more confident. And mind you, William comes off as a very confident person. I don't suspect that he would be doing what he does if he wasn't confident up on the podium. William, tell me right now, how do you feel when you're up on the podium? Are you excited to have people sitting in the audience listening to what you have to say? Or do you have stage fright? Or are you a little bit uncomfortable? Or are you a little bit unsure that maybe you might mess up or something? I'd be interested to know, William, what are your thoughts in when you hit that podium? Yeah, be interested. Okay. Oh, you're inspired by that, William. I do that too, right? I wait until, right? I need to pretty much be slugged right upside the head before I could say, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, for sure. Now I know that's the direction instead of like seeing it the first time going, oh, there you go. And doing it, I wait for the third or fourth time, which is always the most painful time because it's really trying to get the message to you. But I get it, William, that you wait to be inspired. But that's a great idea. Like if you go outside and sit on a park bench and you have your camera, let me know, William, right? I sent somebody a podium or a tripod. I can't remember who I sent a tripod to. Maybe it was to Nancy, I think. I think I sent Nancy a tripod. I'm not sure. I sent somebody a tripod at one point. But yeah, tripod, and then you could just get even a little phone clip, William, for your phone, and you could do vertically or horizontally, depending on what platforms you're going to share your insights on, and then just start posting like I did. You got William, you've been with me for so long, you know where I started at. You know where I was when I started at. It's just a matter of starting, right? And then don't worry about the rest. Don't worry about God inspiring you. Inspire yourself. Inspire yourself, right, William? Right? Because you inspire us by just pursuing that. Okay, let's see. Have a good night, Andrew. Have a good night. Take care, everybody. I'm glad to hear that the medication is helping and you're starting to feel better. William says, well, Cindy, I do get nervous sometimes when I'm preaching. I'm giving the word, but I trust God to give me what to say and how to say it. Oh, get right here. I just got a notification. Turn that off. Trust that God to give me what to say and how to say it. So yes, I do get nervous, but that's a part of the preaching. I love that, William. Right? I love that. You do it anyway because you know you have to, right? That's what you're in it for. You said that you were going to pass that word. So you don't have a choice. That's pretty amazing, William. Huh? That's super cool. Yeah, for me, I don't know what the fear is in me in hitting the platform because once I hit the platform, I'm in it. I'm fine, right? but it's just a matter of hitting that like button. And like you, William, I'm waiting to be inspired by God, whoever, whatever, those other parts of me, to know what that topic of discussion is. That's procrastination. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Like, I don't have stage fright. I think if I had to go onto a stage with 1,000 people, I wouldn't have a problem with that if I knew what the topic is. And that's the whole point of me getting my cards. And for those of you who are just getting here, I finally decided on the sides of my 54 powerful words deck. They are going to be 5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Perfect. This is perfect. This is going to be good, right? And especially for people who do work with cards, right? I bet you their fingers do feel uncomfortable sometimes with that consistent working of them, right? But, and also I wanted something uniquely mine, and I have not seen a deck in this size yet. Not to say there isn't, but I have never come across, and I come across a lot of decks of cards, and this feels very comfortable in my hand. And maybe you guys, starting next week, we can get back into grounding in the cards rather than coming in and having all those other parts of me super excited to have the stage and to come in here and spew without me having a true idea of what that spew is going to be, right? I like to pace in what I share, and I like to digest first in the lessons. But I understand that when I come live, right, that I don't always, just checking to see if I have both my earrings, because most of the time you'll see me lots in these. I don't know if you guys noticed in my adventures on this trip that I'm sharing with you guys from September, that when I'm in front of the camera, you'll see that most of the time I only have one earring. I have no idea how that happens. I think it's just like rolling in bed in my sleep, because I don't really change my earrings until morning. I would lose a lot less earrings if I did that. But yeah, I lose a lot of earrings. My earring board needs to be redone. I have a lot of earrings. I match them to my outfit. My outfit today, it doesn't really match. It doesn't look bad. It's a nice little contrast. But yeah, these are the earrings from yesterday. So you can see I'm just in my casuals. I like this shirt. I sometimes work to it. I call it casual because it's just not a dressy blouse or anything like that. I wanted to be comfortable today. I wanted to really feel like I was taking a day off, and I really feel like I have taken a day off, and I still got stuff to do. I still got to clean my kitchen, which is a disaster. I got raisins all over my floor that got to be swept up. I made cinnamon buns, and I made onion buns, and I made some bread for my days off. And yeah, I dispersed it out to my sister, my brother-in-law. He loves my onion buns. I used to have, I used to belong in a couple of networks, groups of friends that loved my bacon, and I loved to bake for them. And one of the things that they loved the most was my onion buns. The guys just loved my onion buns. I used to make it with spaghetti, so I was pleasantly surprised today when my sister Alice said that she was going to have the onion buns with lazy halapchi, which is cabbage rolls, but it's all chopped up into one pot. It's not rolled into the leaves and stuff, right? So it's lazy halapchi, they call it. And it's delicious, and it's perfect for my onion buns, because I know for myself, I used to like to make my onion buns when I made spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah. I was craving spaghetti and meatballs for like a month, and finally last week I broke down and made the spaghetti and meatballs. Today, I said, "Oh, Cindy, you haven't gotten on the scale in a couple of weeks. Get on the scale." I haven't even been thinking about my weight or anything. And I got on the scale and I went, "Oh my goodness, you lost another 5 pounds. That's so awesome." right? So now I am, well, a little bit underneath that. Well, it's not a matter that, well, okay, I'm under, now we can start having the treats and stuff now. But to be able to say that I'm under the 200s, that makes me happy. For me, a comfortable weight for me is 175, 180, especially at my age right now. It feels hardy for me. I do have dense bones as part of my good health, and I see people when they don't have that extra weight on themselves, that right, that they can waste away a little bit when they do get sick. And if I get sick, I would like to have a little bit extra just to tie me over, just like a polar bear going into hibernation. Yeah. That's our Andrew, you guys, right? Not quite feeling at par right now. So and I can tell. Canada Post, you guys. Andrew was on my right this year. I'm only sending out a couple of parcels for Christmas, right? And Andrew was one of those, because I have been saving pens and writing paper, because he writes letters and he does calligraphy, and so the nice pens came in, or the nice paper, or the nice stationery came in, I would save it for him, and a couple of things to make his life feel a little bit better. And I wanted to add that to the package. Um, that package probably is not going to get to him on Christmas. I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to get it ready soon as Canada Post is finished their strike, right? They're holding the public as hostage because they know it's Christmas present sending time, right? And they're holding the public hostage, and it's the most prime time to get their demands met. And right, they do it. I know they were doing things like this during COVID and stuff. They made people's lives really, really difficult, like when Rogers Sugar was going on strike, and we couldn't get sugar. We couldn't even get sugar at Christmas, and they held the public hostage at Christmas, right? But in strikes, they think of when would be the perfect time to make sure that that bite hurts, that they have a better chance of having their needs and demands met in that. So I suspect that being right now that those parcels need to go out, right? Those parcels need to go out, that their demands will be met. Unfortunately, Canada Post is very expensive for the public now. So who's going to pick up the slack in that? Who's going to, right? Who's going to loosen up the pockets? Where is that going to be funded? Well, obviously, it's going to be in the public, right? So, oh, Kathy's here. Hello, Kathy. Look at the size of my deck, Kathy, if you just came in. 5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I decided it's the perfect size for my deck of 54 powerful words. So I'm in the process of cutting out my first deck. I need to ground in those 54 powerful words. It will keep me from, right, or keep my other parts of me from taking center stage and taking me off in places that I haven't even digested yet, right? I like to digest the topics a little bit, right? Before I throw them out to the universe. Sometimes I don't even throw it out there. Sometimes I just keep it tight, because sometimes it's just for me. Sometimes it's in that idea what you don't know won't hurt you, right? And sometimes it is in that what you do know does hurt you. So, yeah, I like to, and I think that's why I came up with that idea of 54 powerful words, so that when I do come in and hang out on my platforms, that I could stay grounded, right? Without swaying off and going into places that are just going to make people look at me like, what? Yeah. I am a diverse thinker. I come from a dynamic family, a family where each one of us was given free choice, but at the same time there were extra ingredients added into that recipe, and each one of us kids, right, are different. Like I said earlier, my sister Alice is super independent. She is, I think, the only one of us girls. Well, I guess I am a little bit now, but that took lessons because I was very codependent. You ask anybody, I was very codependent on my sister Tracy. My sister Tracy took care of all my needs. And in return, right, I took care of all her needs. And that's the way it works, right? Sometimes it's a transaction, sometimes it's a gift. And I looked at those kindnesses as gifts because they came in such most opportune time. They fell into my life in a way that they did me a great service. Like when my sister bought me a car after I crashed my car, and she took me out and she bought me a new one, right? Even though she did get the write-off money from the first car. But it's all good. It's all the past. But I looked at all of those things as kindnesses, and I still look at those at kindnesses. Right? But I have to be a realist and understand the difference between a transaction, a gift, and a kindness, because gifts come in many forms too. Sometimes gifts come from congratulatory. Sometimes gifts are obligatory. Is that what you call it, when you feel obligated to give the gifts, right? Sometimes those gifts that they give you, yeah, they're very contractional, right? That you do for me, and now you own me. The whole idea of me showing up online and moving the direction that I am moving, I believe, right? That I'm following, and that this will open up, right? And evolve into something that will, right, be very beneficial to me and very beneficial to the people who follow my content, and the people, right, who aren't following anybody or anything in the moment, right? Totally lost, like I was at one point, to have that opportunity to impact the way that I was impacted, right? Yeah. The gift that keeps giving, right? The reward that rewards, right? As much as I get in doing what I do, I reward it out there in the idea that maybe somebody else will kind of get what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. But yeah, 5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I'm going to work with this a little bit. Going to, right? It's the beginning stages. You have to have, what do you call those? Demo parts? No, it's what's the word for it, you guys? Oh, I'm trying to remember. When you have your first part, your first one. Can't remember what it's called. Doesn't matter anyway. It's underway, you guys, and I'll be maybe working with them next week. Finish cutting the cards with some extras, because I know when I write the words down, right, I might squiggle or make a spelling error, that I'll have cards left over that I'll be able to do a few of them that need to be redone, right? The the finished deck won't look anything like this deck, um, but it'll be working the same way. So we're going to get cracking on this, just so that I have something proper to ground in that will help me, right, in my procrastination. I am a procrastinator. I understand. I beat myself up because of that. And that's the only problem that I have in that. Well, there's a difference between guilt and shame. I feel guilty because I know, right, Andrew and Owen and Kathy, They're waiting for me to show up. That's healthy. That's healthy to feel guilt in that. The shame is when I beat myself up, when I trash talk myself, when I punish myself, right? And I do that. And that's the shame part of it. That's the one where I'm made to feel a way that isn't actually true. So in procrastination, that is guilt. That is my admittance of my fault. And well, it's not an apology, but I think it is an expression of how bad I feel that I do that. But that procrastination in this moment is still part of me, right? And so that signals something for me to delve into a little bit more, right? Because I am somebody. I'm like an energy. I never stop. I have ADHD traits where well, I have lots of traits, right? Narcissistic traits, right? Empathic traits. I have borderline traits, but right, that's my dynamic upbringing, and that's me mirroring somebody different, a different character in my family. There were six of us. No two were alike, though we were similar. My sister Tracy was my mother's daughter. My sister Tracy was a favorite child, right? Golden child. Me, I was very much codependent, right? I was waiting for my dad to come home and rescue me. I was um, clinging to the person that I knew absolutely loved me more than anything, right? And and I learned and mirrored off of each member of my family, and I have all of those traits, and right, and I can beat myself up and feel guilt and shame because some of those traits are healthy, some of those traits are not healthy, right? Like my eating habits, that's not healthy, but that is ingrained in me, and it's ingrained in all my sisters. Me and all my sisters have some aspect of unhealthy eating habits, right? My sister Tracy's the healthiest of all of us, but she struggles the most because she's a diabetic, so she's got to be extra strict for with herself. And even though she's got those health issues, she's got to be strict with herself. And so again, when we talk about, being unhappy in our life, like all these things that kind of compound and just make us miserable, right? When we keep them to ourselves, it's a kindness to other people. It is, right? But maybe there's a way that you can express that would give somebody the opportunity to do a kindness, right? To do kindness. But if they don't express, if I didn't know that Andrew had run himself down, right, with pneumonia, I wouldn't be putting flu capsules in his Christmas hamper. Right? If I didn't know he had troubles with his legs, he wouldn't get a pair of compression socks. Right? So it's good that we know, but you see, Andrew never complains and he doesn't bring it up unless somebody asks. So if I remember, I try to bring it up, right? Because it would be terrible if something happened to Andrew's health and we knew nothing about it. Or if we didn't inquire after Owen's mother and Owen was silent in that and not of consideration for us, didn't mention anything because, right, it's only in our asking after her that we know that she's doing okay, right? Sometimes it's in those small kindnesses that we do for no reason at all. Those are the ones that say everything about somebody. 100%. Those small kindnesses. Like when Andrew helps Nancy out. When Kathy sends me birdseed money and cheese and cracker money, right? My sister buys me a car. You have to read into these things, right, for what they are, because it could be pocket change to somebody, but it could be absolutely everything that somebody's sacrificing in the moment. It could be their absolute everything. And it's just in us noticing and delving in a little bit deeper in that, right? Yeah. We all have something to give, but we give what we can give, right? I'm not giving like Elon Musk. Right? I'm not giving like that. But I'm giving in my own way in how I can. And I think that counts just as much. 100%. Okay, Kathy, I don't know if you realized that Winnipeg was playing in the Grey Cup tonight. Unfortunately, they lost. No, I didn't, Kathy. I didn't know they made it to the Grey Cup. Winnipeg made it to the Grey Cup. Yay! None of my customers mentioned it to me, and I have a few customers who like sports. Isn't that interesting? I didn't even know today was, they call them playoffs, right? Uh, I had no idea. I'm finding that really, really funny because that's pretty big not to hear anything about. Yesterday, I just heard about the floods in Spain. Um, Last week, I heard about President Trump winning the election. Because Nancy messaged me. Oh, Nancy was just furious. She's gonna go to lawyers, and oh man, her blood is boiling. You don't get Nancy ticked off, man. She's a viper, that one. I didn't even respond to it because I had no idea how to respond to her comment, because she just viewed everything, and I was just like, oh my goodness, right? Right? And it's not that I have an opposite way of how she thinks about President Trump or anything. I'm not an expert on President Trump in any way. I really don't have any opinions on him at all, except to say that maybe he's probably one of the biggest scapegoats in the entire world, only because I am a scapegoat myself, and I recognize, when people get dumped on more than their fair share, right? That doesn't mean that it was totally undeserving, right? But I suspect a lot of it wasn't, just because of the dislike for somebody personally, right? But that's all I know about that, right? For me, I think I probably am more entertained by President Trump than I am dissuaded by him in any way. I think he's very courageous. I think he's funny when he talks. I think he's straight to the point, and he just sometimes he just sounds just ridiculous, but you gotta laugh because in the end, right? It kind of works out the way he wants it to work out, right? He's the president. I think, being members of that country, that you would want to support the president in that. That's how, right? We right? They don't like our prime minister, but he's the prime minister, right? That's right. We voted him in. It was a fair vote. So we should at least give him a fair shake to see if maybe, right, he can get his poop together and do a good job. Whether he's doing a good job or a bad job, honestly, just as much as that Grey Cup, as much as it was Grey Cup Day, I have no idea what kind of a job he's doing, only from the couple of right headlines and the thumbnails that I come across in some of the topics, right? Because it is thought leadership, and I would have to include those topics in thought leadership that comes across my path, because right, other thought leaders have these topics under discussion, and if they're talking about it, at least I need to be able to, at the very least, be able to get into a conversation, right? And sometimes it just means, a few sentences. I don't know where my phone is. I just heard it going off. Somebody is messaging me. Okay. Oh, you like my trip videos. Oh, thank you. I'll send you my address, Owen, if I haven't sent it to you before. I'll send you. But like I said, Canada is on strike when it comes to postal. I have no idea when it's going to be up and running. I don't think it'll be very long because they were very good at holding the public hostage at Christmas. So the government or whoever's in charge of giving those raises, they'll probably have to cave in a little bit in order to get those Christmas packages out there. But yeah, for sure, those Christmas cards will definitely go out. But remember, I'll let you know if I am sending you out a package because I do need phone numbers now. Canada Post requires that I have phone numbers for tracking if I send packages outside of Canada. So if I send anybody a package in the States, you'll have to send me your phone number. I know I got a couple of the phone numbers. But yeah. But I'm glad you're enjoying. I'm gonna have another video up. It'll probably go up Wednesday. I'll probably have it finished by Tuesday. But Tuesday, me and my sister are going to spend the afternoon together. Probably we're going to go out thrifting and have an afternoon. We don't normally go out on Tuesdays, but I have 4 days off this week. And because we're not going out tomorrow, because usually we go out on Mondays. We're not going out tomorrow. I will work on my video tomorrow. I will have Tuesday evening to finish it and get it scheduled for Wednesday morning. Um, uh, you may notice that I don't do a live show on the day that I publish my video. So I've decided because I was looking for ways that I could give myself a day of rest, an extra day of rest that is specifically for me in however way I want to choose it, whether it is staying in the topics in the lessons or if I want to go out Mother Nature, if I just don't want to do anything, if I'm physically exhausted and drained because I've exerted every ounce of energy that I've got in my body, that I have that day. And so when I upload that video, then I'll keep that in mind because if I want to schedule something to do, I will schedule that video to be released on that day that I want to make plans for myself and not feel obligated that I'm going to have to rush home to make sure that my live is done. So that's one extra day that I'll be able to do. Well, I'm hoping after the series is over, I have a few more videos from my trip. I think 2 or 3 more videos from my trip. So when those videos are over, I will still be uploading a video once a week. What the topics are probably will have to do with the 54 powerful words, but it will be more polished. I know Cindy's not a polished kind of girl, right? I like to give the lessons in conversation. I like to do it in reflection and perspectives. I want it to be genuine. But we live in a digital age and in a world of business and leadership, there is a way that we're supposed to present in that polished manner. I'm still not going to wear makeup. I am done with makeup. There may be a point, if I decide that I want to do a TED Talk or right Google Talk. I would much rather do a Google Talk. That would be lots of fun, right? Be able to contribute on the platform that I contribute on. That would be pretty amazing, right? But that requires to be practiced. That requires to be professional. That requires a little bit of chameleon in my presentation, right? It's still light. It's still lessons. It's still inspiration and motivation, but it's a little bit polished, right? And I'm hoping. I have not had much luck with that up to this point. I haven't really tried that much, but I find I make a lot more mistakes when I'm trying to be polished, when I'm trying to stay set on the line of topic. Point 1, 2, 3, 4, completion, solution, we're done. Out of here. Thank you for calling. Subscribe, hit that button. Right? Right? Give me the thumbs up. See you next week. This is my website. This is my product. Right? I know, right? I'm presenting and I'm creating in this industry. I know. So maybe that's in the practicing and in the routine. So that's why it is in my hopes that after we're finished this series, that there will be a video every week. Even if I'm not out on the road and exploring, we'll do trail walks, we'll have conversations, we'll have a more practiced and polished routine in being able to present in the networks that I want to present in. And they are very solid in their presentations. They are very secure, confident, and comes off as genuine. It not always is, right? Right? Again, you have to kind of look and watch and be the spectator and the student sometimes in those presentations, but you can always get the underlying message. The underlying message is always genuine. Sometimes it's just the way it's presented out there. Oh my goodness. Hello, Nancy. It's nice to see you, dear Nancy. Oh, I keep using the wrong mouse here. But I did get my flu shot and my COVID booster, which I was very surprised to hear. I like you could tell it was Grey Cup Day, and I had no idea. My customers never even mentioned it to me. And like I said, I have a couple of my really good friend customers that come into the store almost daily, and none of them mentioned it either. And they love sports, and they never said boo to me, right? They never said boo to me. But that would have been good because they gave me the day off today. So it's a nice slow day that they would have been able to get some extra. I was a little concerned for my manager because I like to leave the store beautiful for her Sunday nights when I leave so that she can start her work week on a good note, right? With a smile. So I was a little bit concerned that they will fall backwards in that a little bit. But if it was Grey Cup Day, you can guarantee everybody here in Winnipeg's face was glued to the television, right? So they would have had lots of time to make that store beautiful for her. So I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better in that. Nancy says, I never ask anyone to thumbs up my video or subscribe because I figure if they like my content, they will do it on their own, right? Sometimes, though, you have to remember, Nancy, because, right, I catch your video, you send me the links to go see your videos and stuff, but, right, the trains are not my passion. You're my passion, Nancy. So when I come in to see you. So the topic itself is not what I'm coming into. I'm coming in, right, to get a little bit of Nancy into my system. You're definitely a character. You're definitely a character in your videos. And when we talk about genuine, like what I was just talking about, being able to be genuine in your videos, right? That's one thing that you are, and that's something I really admire about you. I was telling them before you came into the live, right? When you heard that when Trump won the election, how angry you were, and you sent me a message and you just spewed in the message, and I didn't respond because I had no idea how to respond because you were just. So I thought the best thing to do was just to let Nancy spew and get it out of her system, right? How are you feeling about that now, Nancy? Are you still as angry as you are, or are you kind of resolute to it now? Right? I hope you're feeling a little bit better because I could tell you were pretty wired. And you never know. He might surprise you, Nancy. Right? Wouldn't that be amazing? Because if he can get Nancy on his side, oh my goodness, wouldn't that be a great thing? Because I know with Nancy on my side, right, how much better things are, right? How much better my life is, how much better these live shows are, right? And it's possible, Nancy. People change all the time. And I can see, right, that sometimes he has to be really strict in some aspects because he really wanted that job. Where in the end, he's going to be so busy doing other things that maybe all those things he was going to say that he was going to cut you from, he's going to totally forget that, right? Right? Because he wants to be the good guy now, right? He doesn't want the public crawling down his throat. He doesn't want Nancy crawling down his throat, right? Yeah. I just laugh at that was all I could do. I just read it and I just had to laugh. I said, "Oh my goodness. Don't mess with Nancy. Don't tick Nancy off because you are gonna you're gonna hear it." Oh, Nancy, don't leave the country. Save your country, Nancy. Right? Put that energy of making America great again on your terms, right? Not on somebody else's terms. And remember, too, right? Majority rules, and he did win the election, but the minority, which is you, Nancy, you have to hold him accountable, right? He's accountable to the minority. He ticks the minority off. They're going to crawl right down his throat, right? Pop out the other end. Oh, you guys. Wow. And on that note, right? Because it does take all kinds to make the world, and we make that clear on this channel. So if President Trump was here, Nancy would give him the respect to have his say too, right? We only can be genuine in our own lives, right? And how we feel about things, sometimes it's in that relationship that we have with ourselves, right? That we can recognize something that is working for us or something that isn't working for us. And in the moment, President Trump is not working for Nancy, but you don't know. Tomorrow is another day, right? You're going to resist him. Oh, but maybe he'll find a place in your heart. Maybe that's the challenge for him, right? Wouldn't that be amazing surprise if he turned out to be your favorite president ever? Who was your favorite president, Nancy? Tell me before we head out, you guys. We're getting ready to end the live. Nancy, before, or anybody out there from the States, who was your favorite president? Wow, Nancy. That's amazing. Because I was going to say the same thing. I really liked Reagan. I liked that he was an actor and he was the first one who was, right? And he went up against a lot. there was a little bit of similarities to President Trump in the way he succeeded to be president, right? Because there was a resistance to him because everybody says, no, don't vote for Reagan. He's an actor. He's just an actor. He's not going to be genuine. He's not going to be real. He's not going to make a good president. But you know what, Nancy? I agree with you 100%. I thought Reagan was a very good president. I also, even though I feel a little bit of gangstership in how he ran the world, I really thought Roosevelt, when he teamed up with his wife Eleanor, they made such a great, powerful couple. Those two. Well, it was actually three because his secretary was in the mix too. But still, right? That partnership between Eleanor and President Roosevelt, and it was actually Eleanor who talked him into being president because he didn't see it in himself, right? Because he had polio and he was a cripple, and right, and that's not a good word to use. Handicapped, that's a bad word. See, these politically correct words that were nothing 40, 50 years ago, right? They're just not acceptable. And we learn them all the time. I recently learned another one. We're not allowed to say, you can say it if you want to, but we don't say Eskimos anymore. We say Inuit, right? Because Eskimos means people who eat raw fish is what Eskimo means. And so they don't find it to be politically correct, and it was because it was the outside world that gave them that label, right? That name that they expected, and they have that I guess right now to be acknowledged as Inuit. And so, but people still make mistakes, don't we? Right? You know, things change all the time, but it wasn't too long ago that some of these words and some of these references that we made that are so inappropriate today, right? We're nothing. We're just normal conversations, normal expectation in our daily lives. Okay, you guys. You don't have to be quiet, Nancy, ever. Genuine. It takes all kinds to make the world. That's what the platform is on. If I didn't want you to have something to say, Nancy, that comment section wouldn't be there. I love you, dear. I do, right? You are a great contribution to this world and to this live show. Everybody, I got an itchy nose and I gotta get a Kleenex in there. Have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow with chatter or what's my good cheers sometime tomorrow. And I'll let you know how editing that video is going, and we'll have that uploaded on Wednesday. If not, we'll see you guys next Sunday. Have a great week.